Hello everyone, welcome to the CG Cookie live stream. My name is Kent Trammell, and I'm glad we made it because I almost didn't get the settings quite right, but I think we're here. I think audio and video are good. So welcome to this casual viewing party type stream, because what we're showing off today, there's a bunch of people watching in the chat who have been part of a team working on this project for the past year. I mean, technically like maybe 9 to 10 months, but basically a full year of production. And the day has finally come to see the final result from that project. And it is a collaboration between CG Cookie members and myself, where we combine our powers and team up to create something bigger than maybe we could just create by ourselves. So that's the spirit, and there's a lot of excitement in this stream. We've been talking about it for a couple weeks on Discord, and I'm just so thrilled with the way it turned out. Can't wait to show you. Real quick, because I suspected, since we're doing this publicly on YouTube, how many people have not heard of the collab format where, you know, CG Cookie instructor teams up with the members to make a project? If you have not heard of that and this is new and you're kind of wondering what is all this, press 1 in the chat just before we get started, and that will either confirm or deny question and answers I prepared for following the stream. But once I see some ones, if maybe everyone knows about it, but okay, the ones are starting to come in. Okay, cool. All right, so that a lot of ones. Okay, that confirms it then. Stick around maybe afterwards, and you can ask questions about what's going on here, how you can join the next one. Spoiler alert. But without further ado, I just wanted to preface what we're actually doing here. Without further ado, Spice House team, I hope you're excited. CG Cookie presents the Spice Vendor's House. Headphones on also, by the way.
My beloved homestead. I find myself drawn to its stillness, where nature serves the finest of decorators, providing the most delightful ornaments. Open fields and faraway mountains, the gentle breeze, grass that tickles, little rivers, songbirds, and vibrant colors. Home is where the heart is. Common words for a professional traveler, a justification that tries to sever the tether between immovable wood and stone and the unfixed heart. Venerated words that bestow a traveler the resolve to incessantly move forward. Nevertheless, travel far enough, long enough, and you will learn to love some of the places you discover. Call them home even, and they will hold ransom pieces of your heart, making it by definition a broken one. And all those broken pieces do not know a way forward, but they do know a way back. Thus, home is where your heart turns whole all over again. My cherished homestead. I wish I could say I built it with my own 2 hands, or that it's been in my family for generations. But the truth is, it's among the spoils of a spice trading location. Longing to dine at my own table, coveting a home-brewed ale. Sitting reading the world outside my window, my face warmed by a familiar sun. Yearning to rest in my own bed, coaxed to sleep by the fragrance of fading embers. Eager to hear the stone and wood welcome me back. Oh, the invigorating sound of a quaint industry. A call to rewarding labor marked by the scent of ground spices. Yearning for the shade of my own roof. Anxious to rest under my own sky. I will always love the world outside these walls. Yet I've realized that even the most adept sailor needs a dock to get back to. Homesick, some would say, but it's an unwelcome phrase. For it's not sickness, merely the demands of a shattered heart ready to be made whole again.
Sorry, forgot I had my headphones on. What do we think? There are a lot of cool comments. I see a lot of people liked what they saw, and looked like the team liked it too. So I just think it turned out so good. And yeah, this is defining of a team effort. This is nowhere near just me or any one person. Very much a collaborative effort. So I do want to shout out Vadim, where we got the concept art from. We realized maybe a week ago that Vadim is Ukrainian and in the middle of a war situation right now, and surrounded by bombings and aggression. So he's trying to stick with his family. So our heart and support goes out to Vadim. Hopefully he'll watch this and have a little morale boost, maybe, because everything we did in this project was based on his artwork coming from his mind, and we appreciate him. And yeah, so that's the presentation of the project. I think you saw the plug for COLLAB2022 is definitely coming. And with that out of the way now, I just wanted to keep it open kind of casually to talk about questions if you have any. I saw some people saying they had questions about how this was made. So is the stream still running? Because I'm getting the circle of waiting. Okay, yeah, I'm seeing comments, so I'm gonna assume that it's still going. All right, cool. And yeah, I guess some information. I will keep an eye on questions. Let them go. Start asking your questions if you have some. And I will keep an eye. Moderators, I've set a few of you up to be moderators. If I miss any questions, can you remind me of them? Maybe copy paste, and that would be helpful. Okay, cool. We're still going. And yeah, we'll just have fun talking about this, maybe exploring the next one, what that's going to look like. If you want more information about this project, so I want to wrap up maybe first while questions come in, that I am going to be posting. I might as well do it right now. So I've got you can download for free this entire project directory, this entire scene with all the models, and they're linked into the final assembly from CG Cookie. Right now it's actually not live technically, so let me go ahead and just publish that. Switch it to published. We just switched to the new version of CG Cookie, and I think we should see that that's live. So that is under, if you go to community, if you go to library and downloads. All right, yeah, the Spice Vendor's House is there. That's free to download. And the idea with that is, you can learn by exploring. You can see how the file is set up. You can hopefully kind of do something unique with it. One of our members, Omar, is actually in the chat, and I don't see the video. Uh-oh, Omar, I put in your video. I'm not sure where that went. Oh, there it is. Okay, it just took a while to load. So I'm going to play this real quick, but Omar took our scene and relit it for night, which turned out brilliantly, and kind of showed what's possible with taking the file, do something unique with it. I mean, maybe you could use it as a backdrop for an animation. If you're a character animator, just put your character in the scene and, let it be the background or something like that. But shout out to Omar for completely relighting the scene, rendering animations of it, and gave it a whole new feel, like this kind of spooky thing. So check it out on Omar's, let's see, where are we? You can check it out on Omar's YouTube channel if you want to see that with the sound. I know it's kind of quiet right now, but really excellent work there. But yeah, you're welcome to download this and play around with it, see how it was made, see how it's put together. And then also, there's more information in this blog article that I'm going to post right now. It's also set to draft. All right, so in this blog article, you can find it if you go to cgcookie.com, and ignore this Maven seed. This is just on the back end. So if we just go to, it's kind of like the admin portal. So just cgcookie.com. And if you go to, let's see, where is still getting used to the site myself. Where is the blog? Library, articles, there it is. And that should be live now. Yeah, and you can read all about this. Looks like I forgot the description. But you can see just the video itself if you want to go back and watch just the short portion, not it minus the live stream stuff. And you know, this was a year-long project, so there was a lot to talk about. There's 9 live streams that you can watch if you want to get in and see in progress stuff, grading, like how we in real time troubleshot, like, you know, where the stream runs. That was the most memorable kind of discussion we had, figuring out, does it run front to back, back to front? Yeah, we had to figure all of this out as a team. And so that's documented in the live streams. You know, I talk a lot about kind of shouting out team members and people who stepped up in big ways. Some technical stuff about the project, you know, being rendered with Eevee. We were aiming for like real-time interaction, like real-time navigation for the scene. And that was, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I am so rusty. I should have been doing this the whole time. My God. What have y'all been saying? You've just been seeing my face talk about this. I apologize. I haven't streamed in a while and it's very apparent. I also need to get the chat off on its own. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry about that. Thank you, whoever has been putting in links. Gosh, I'm so sorry. So yeah, the download, I'll go over that quickly, can be found in library downloads on cgcookie.com, the Spice Vendor House right here. If you go to library articles, you can read about the project. And so it's a lot of information in there. It's got a lot of sentimental value as a project. So, you know, there's some of that. And then at the bottom, we also have information about COLLAB2022. And there's this sort of elevator pitch video if you're interested. These are also linked in the description of this video. At least they should be, if I did it correctly, which is, who knows, right? But check that out if you're interested. And I need to get to answering some questions. Sorry, I really butchered that. I'm not, you know, I just set up hotkeys too. I thought I would be on top of the OBS streaming situation, but I was not. All right, so I want to look through and answer some questions because I have a feeling not as many people know about the collab as I would like them to. Let's see. I am browsing. So we used to do streaming on our site where like questions would be highlighted in blue. Question. Thank you, Dave, for putting question in all caps. Permanent link for the film on YouTube. Yes. So that is, it's set to unlisted right now. I need to go back and set it to public so it'll, you know, notify everybody, but it's embedded into this article. If you go to cgcookie.com/posts, again, you can ignore this Maven seed thing. Just cgcookie.com/posts, and it's embedded right there at the top. But I'm gonna, after the stream is over, I'll set it to public and make sure all my links are good. Let's see. Can you talk about the texturing pipeline for this environment, unwrapping, baking? Is it modular? Excellent question. And yes, I can talk about it a little bit. I mean, I probably should load up some assets. Oh, it's pretty intense streaming. So maybe I will try. Thoughts and prayers, because the scene is pretty dense, as you can imagine. Which usually I try to avoid streaming and super dense scenes, but you know, you only live once, right? Let's see. Source assembly. All right, yeah. So the texturing, you know, we got into the project trying to expand our skill sets. In 2020, the Backhoe project was all modeling. And it turned out really well. Like the model was super detailed, very high quality in every way, but it was just modeling. There was no texturing, there was no rigging or anything like that. With this one, we wanted to expand that to include modeling, even though it is, you know, simplistic modeling and texturing. And let's give it a moment for the shaders to build. Hopefully my computer doesn't explode. But within the texturing specifically, we did want to figure out like what kind of limits are on Eevee in terms of texture resolution, trying to implement some channel packing, exploring trim sheets. I'm not a game artist by trade, but just kind of being around computer graphics and the gap between visual effects and games shrinking, I'm aware of some of these techniques, but we did want to use this project to explore some of those and kind of see the limits of Eevee especially. So as this scene, starts to build together, I'll hopefully, be able to use it as a visual aid. But admittedly, I think we learned about a lot of what not to do with texturing, because I definitely think we were not as optimal as we could have been. And that was on me, because I didn't have experience applying it to a bigger pipeline. When you're working by yourself, you can kind of get away with more things. But in this project, it was, I didn't know how to troubleshoot like the texture limits, right? On a large scale. And so I take responsibility for not knowing enough about that. But despite that, several members kind of dug into the technical side themselves and explored trim sheets to make things more optimal. Several trim sheets were used extensively on the interior. Once the outside parts were built, we just copied their textures and reused them, applied new UVs to new objects for those textures. So it was kind of like a Frankenstein real-time pipeline that I'm proud of what we did, but it was nowhere near optimal, that's for sure. But as far as the resilience of the team to get in and figure what can work, I was very, very proud of that. And everything was done in Blender. I think some people did use Substance, if I remember correctly. Sean, maybe you can speak to that. I think you used, I should make you a moderator, by the way. Sean used Substance, if I remember correctly. So that was fine, if people wanted to do that. But, in the live streams, if you watch that, I do all texturing examples in Blender. So that's kind of where I stick. All right, I think that's kind of answered that question. Let's keep going on. Question, was it rendered in Eevee? How close to real time? So it was rendered completely in Eevee. And once the scene finishes building its shaders, which, is definitely not as fast as it loads without streaming. But it's making its way through. I've seen it load in as little as like a minute, but this is taking longer. When everything is turned on, it's very slow. So I recommend, and I've set up the default scene if you want to download it. Where is the download? Downloads. So if you want to download the file, where is it? Then I have turned off the interior collection by default, because when you have the interior and exterior on at the same time, it's way too slow. But if you turn off the interior and just have the exterior, it's actually pretty fast. I hope I'm not a liar once this thing, once I try to navigate around in here and it's done compiling. But it's not terrible to navigate, at least on my machine. If you try and play animation, press play in the timeline, it will be pretty slow. But again, if you turn off the right things, then it gets pretty fast, so it's this kind of balancing act of how much you have visible and not. So yeah, if you download the file, play around with it, kind of get a feel for it. But I recommend, if you're in the interior, turn off the exterior. If you're in the exterior, turn off the interior. But yeah, completely Eevee, no cycles whatsoever. In fact, the only thing I did with compositing is just slightly, I put a vignette on some shots, and I think that's it. Yeah, so not even any compositing. The fog you see, well, again, once it finishes compiling, the kind of distance fog effect is built into the shader. It's not even, Z depth. So I was actually pretty impressed when I figured that out. Let's see. What was it rendered in Eevee? I'm looking for more questions now. Where are we at? Okay. Let's see. I should probably put this over here. Sorry, let me rearrange my windows while the shader compiles. Is anyone interested in Collab 2022? How about I ask a question? you know, I know robots aren't necessarily for everyone, but does that excite some people at least? Question from Yamar: what are your machine specs? Just want to know if my system can handle it. So yeah, my machine is I'm running Windows. I used to run Linux on this machine, but I'm running a RTX 2080 as my single graphics card, and I have a 16 core Ryzen processor, but generally like 32 gigs of RAM too. That's my memory, and that I think is a heavier hitter, like carries more of the burden of my processing than I give it credit for. Okay, cool. So looks like there is some interest in 2022. Question: is there any requirements for joining? Yes. So this year we are implementing an application process. So if we go back to that article, and you go down to the bottom of the blog article, okay? So the at the bottom where we talk about Collab 2022, there's important information there. The fact that it's going to run 2 months, unlike Collab 2021, which was 1 month, and that was a crazy month. But so what does that mean? What do I mean when 2021 ran a month? So there was a dedicated collab period of 4 weeks in a row where every week I did 2 streams. There was weekly homework, there were grades, and that was the collab period, right? And so the collab period for 2022 is August 1st through September 30th. And I outline a bit about the schedule. It's going to be different because what I learned from last year is I need like a pre-production period, like 2 weeks of pre-production. And then that's just me and the team leaders. And then there's like 5 weeks of everyone involved. And then there's like a week or 2 at the end of back to the team leads, or if anyone else wants to stick around. Kind of, I've learned from collabs that there needs to be pre-production, there needs to be production, and there needs to be post-production, which, shocker, I mean, you know, movies have been made that way for, you know, decades. So I should have seen the writing on the wall. But each collab, we're refining the process. And so if you're available through August 1st through September 30th, you do need to be a CG Cookie member. And what else? So applications. Last year, I learned that you can have too big of a team. And we kind of we took the ceiling off how many people would be interested in joining. And we started with 133 or something like that. And then that dwindled over time to about 80 people who actually finished and contributed final work. And, you know, that was the first 2 weeks going from 130 to like, you know, 80 people was pretty intense for one person. So this year I want to kind of pare back and have a more refined, also more committed team. You know, we lost 50 out of the 130. So I'd like a team that's a little more committed. You know, it's totally understandable if you're not able to commit, but, you know, with the application process, hopefully we will kind of limit only to people who can, you know, more or less definitely commit to this time period. And also, you know, like there is going to be all skill levels available. So you know, the numbers aren't in concrete yet, but let's say I do want about 30 people on the team, and let's say there's 10 beginners. You know, I don't know about these numbers exactly, but let's say there's 10 beginner slots, 10 intermediate slots, and then 10 advanced slots. So we have room for everybody wherever you are in Blender, and there will be tasks, you know, for any skill level. But you know, we want to see people committed, and even at beginner, you know, you can be a committed beginner, and that's what we're into. So yeah, those are the requirements. But please read through that and definitely watch this video if you're interested. Let's get more questions. Okay, where can I learn more? I don't have time, but I'd love to watch. Where can I learn more? I don't have time, but I'd love to. So what do you mean by that? Like you'd like to kind of be a fly on the wall, maybe, of like the process? That's kind of interesting. I don't know if I'd considered that. In the past, the streams have been just for the people involved. But as far as learning more, definitely check out cgcookie.com. How about I just paste the link? What a novel idea. Someone else has probably already done it. Here it is, just in case. Check out that article. It's also in the link. It's in the description. There are several links in the description. Okay, yeah, I'd like to be the fly on the wall. So that's an interesting idea. So this is kind of talking off the sleeve. I haven't really fleshed out this idea in my head completely, but I have wondered, like, I hate to limit the people. Like if there's 200 people that apply, let's say, there's also an application link, by the way, if you want to fill that out there. So let's say there's 200 people that apply. It really kind of hurts to cut out, 170 people. So I've been wondering, like, what if there is this kind of fly on the wall type involvement that's open to people, where essentially what it would be is you could even contribute models to the project that are featured and that you get a credit, in the final video premiere. But essentially what it would limit is I only have so much capacity for grading and one-on-one feedback. And I think 30 is where I'm going to put my limit on this year. So, but what if there is an ability to get involved, contribute to the project, kind of watch the streams, but not have to dedicate one-on-one feedback, not that I can't answer some questions if you're on Discord, but like limit the one-on-one, feedback and grading and attention to just a smaller group. Anyway, I'm talking that's bounced around in my head. I don't really know exactly how that would be implemented, but let's say if you're into that, if you wanted to be a fly on the wall type contributor, if it makes sense what I mean by that, press 1 in the chat. I would just be curious if you're fine not getting graded, not getting that one-on-one instructor attention, but still want to be involved in the project, maybe contribute models. Well, essentially from like a director of the project perspective, I would basically need flies on the wall to watch. Maybe you see feedback I give to someone else and you are self-motivated enough. Okay, cool. Seen some ones. You're self-motivated enough to see that feedback and apply it to yourself and what you're building. And then you follow the instructions without, needing your hand held, basically. I don't know, theoretically that could work and you could learn from it and contribute, get a credit, like that could theoretically work. Okay, number 1, if you're not able to be part of the main project, I'm going to give this some serious thought because maybe talk to Wes about it, see what he thinks. Is there a monthly plan in order to become a member of CG Cookie? Yeah, that's in last year we did, up until a few months ago, we were monthly subscription and we switched to annual. We do not have a monthly option anymore. And, I know that's hard given the precedent we've, kind of set for years past, but I mean, trust me when I say it's much better for the kind of committed learning that we strive for our community. So we do not have a monthly option. It is a yearly, and it might not seem worth it if you're trying to sign up for a year and you only want to do the collab, but the membership is not only the collab, it's a whole lot more than that. This is more, the collabs are more like a perk for members, essentially. Let's see. A lot of ones. Okay, I'm seriously going to think about this, how to implement a kind of fly on the wall contribution facet to the project, because I'm really interested in that. Question, or can I help without becoming a paying member? Say, can you help without becoming a paying member? So it sounds like kind of be like a team lead or something. I'm going to have to figure out how to decide this and then notify people. As far as timeline, the application is kind of the first step. And so that's available now, but I don't have like a landing page for COLLAB2022 yet. There's obviously a few months in between now and when that starts. So at some point in the next few months, everything's going to coagulate into a more refined, here's the landing page, here's all the detailed information. So between now and then, I'm going to have to figure out what sort of involvement there is, with this fly on the wall stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. But yeah, we'll see. It'll develop, and I think it'll be pretty cool. For sure. Yeah, good advice. Not committing to anything right now. Let's see. let's see. I love to see the interest. Absolutely, I love to see the interest. The dream of collabs is that by working as a team, we can do bigger and bigger things. We have dreams. We've talked about them in the Discord about, making micro shorts complete where we start from scratch. We build models, we build environments, we build characters, we rig those characters, and do animation, like the whole thing. As a format that started by accident, it's pretty neat to see in only 2 years what it's become and what it can become. And I still think it's pretty unique. I've not found anything quite like this. It's very encouraging to see the excitement. Any other questions? Let's see. Let's see. Question: is a student allowed to join? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't matter really who you are, other than the, membership. You can join CG Cookie for free, I believe. I mean, we just switched to Maven Seed and some things have changed, but I'm pretty sure you can join for free, CG Cookie, but you don't get access to the courses. We can open it. Let's see. Question. Okay, I think I answered that one, Sean. Can I help without becoming a paying member? Okay, yeah. Moderators, also the regular members that we talk all the time, make some mental notes if you could. That would be a huge help to me, and we can revisit, suggestions here and refine, exactly what this is going to become. Let's see. Quick, can you put that part on the application? I should, right? Yeah. So let me think. Let me open. Where was that application? Let's see. Let's see here. I want to say I put a question that kind of. Okay. Are you okay with your? Okay, not that one. How important is it? Direct instructor feedback. So I think that's the question I kind of was thinking about. This fly on the wall kind of mentality is if whoever puts on here, I'm more than happy contributing without direct feedback. That would kind of go into the fly on the wall mentality. And so like through this form, I would be able to have records of like this, this applicant is okay being that type. So anyway, yeah, I think that should be enough to give me an idea of what type of involvement you're after. Let's see. All right, cool. How many people do we have? I think that's pretty much it. All I wanted to go over. Let's see. Unless there are more questions, maybe I'll stick around for the next 15 minutes. Yeah, we'll do another 15 minutes and then end it at, 3 p.m. my time. Let me see if I'm missing any other questions. So, some questions about Unreal in the chat. Let's see. So I'm going to guess why not use Unreal? Sheila, if you could, can you give a link with just the video? Yeah, I can do that. Copy video URL. All right, so this video is currently unlisted, but just because I haven't set it to listed. That is just the animation itself of COLLAB2021. So check that out for those who just want to see the video. Someone asked, could you recap what's going on? Where was that? Okay, can you quickly give a recap on what's going on? So yeah, can I do that? I'm a rabbit holer. So what this stream is all about is we showed the final presentation, final result of a year-long collaborative project between CG Cookie instructors and CG Cookie members, where we get together, combine our powers, and create a bigger project than we would be able to by ourselves. And so that's what we're celebrating today by premiering the video. I just posted the link in the chat if you want to see just the video. And right now we're kind of following up with people who are new to this format, the collab thing that we do on CG Cookie. It's becoming an annual thing where people in this year are going to apply, and then we'll build a team from those applications from within our CG Cookie members and embark to create what's going to be a big robot. It's going to be this guy right here. And if you watch, if you go to the article that is linked in the description, where we talk about, we kind of recap Collab 2021, at the end, we talk about the next collab, 2022, and there's a pitch video there to describe what the new project is going to be, the spirit behind it, and some information, pertinent information, timelines, and also a link to the application form. So that's just, I'm kind of walking people through that in this time after we premiered the animation. So yeah, if you have any questions, post them in the chat. I'm going to be on for another like 14 minutes or so to field questions. Let's see. What's the last day to complete the application? Basically until it's still available, because I eventually will come in here and shut it down, like tell it to stop accepting applications, but it will be probably within the month before August, so July. Sometime in July, the application process will be closed. I need to get a portfolio together. Yeah, so we do want to see in the application, we want to see some evidence of your work. Now, I've already said that, might have been missed, but I've said that we have spots open for all skill levels, beginners, intermediate, and advanced. And so even at the beginner level, we don't really want like, this is my first time opening Blender type beginner, but with like a year or less, typically in a year's time, beginners have done the donut tutorial. They've done our Blender basics, right? They've done the common fundamental courses, and they know their way around Blender. They understand the concepts, at least basically, about modeling, and they can, like, that's kind of the starting point. So we do want to see, let's see, somewhere in here, please provide a link to your online portfolio gallery. We do want to see some sort of work. You don't have to like get a demo reel together unless you want to really impress us, but just some evidence of your work for sure. Let's see, looking for more questions. Why wasn't this done with GeoNodes? That is the future. Kelly, so I've seen you give like $2. I'm sorry, I'm new to this. I don't stream a ton, but there was no intention of getting $2 from you. So I'll have to look into that. Maybe there's a setting I should have turned off, but you don't have to do that to ask questions. So why wasn't this done with GeoNodes? There were members. It was open to geometry nodes. Now, back in April 2021, what was going on? I can't remember. Does anyone remember if GeoNodes were officially in trunk? I want to say it was still at an experimental status. And one thing people did try and use geometry nodes for was the grass. Okay. Oh yeah. I never showed the final scene. Oh, come on. I'm missing a texture link. All right. So the scene is terribly slow right now. Man, streaming really takes some CPU power. Let me make sure that I have things turned off. Where's the interior? Geez, this is super slow. Exterior accessories. Oh yeah, I've got the interior visible still. All right, let's turn that off. Okay, that's better. Yeah, what was I showing you in here? Oh, the grass. Yeah, so there were a couple people that tried to make a grass solution out of geometry nodes. We wanted to have it where, to be optimal, like it only showed grass in the field of view of the camera. Some really neat things were attempted, but nothing was optimal. Like everything I saw with GeoNodes and grass was extremely slow. So that kind of nixed it from just, compared to particles. But I know, Sean, maybe you have said already that you did some things with geometry nodes, if I recall correctly. So there was geometry nodes. Actually, I know for sure that what do you call these? The roof tiles were constructed with geometry nodes by Andy Begg and Lego Binge. I'm not sure if they're in the chat, but there was use of geometry nodes. It just wasn't complete geometry nodes. I actually got into geometry nodes recently. It's been on my radar since it came out. I'm not sure my brain is going to be the type of brain that takes to geometry nodes like a fish to water. But it's definitely going to be a powerful tool. But I don't think in any way it's going to negate handmade polygon modeling or even modifiers. Maybe it'll eliminate modifiers one day, but anyway, it is in the future, I would say, for sure. I don't know if I would say it's the whole future. Let's see. Question. I'm trying to create a stylized environment with Blender and Unreal 5. Can you give some tips for optimizing? Oof, I don't know that I can. So I've not used Unreal yet. I mean, more and more I'm like Blender only. So I have not exported assets to Unreal. Back in the day, I exported all the time to a bunch of apps. But I don't think I have any relevant information right now about how to optimize for exporting to Unreal specifically. So that's something I've not been doing a lot of. Question on render time. So yeah, if you're asking what kind of render times I saw, so in those scenes from the animation, it would range anywhere from, sometimes it was like 3 seconds a frame to like, I think on the high end, there were some frames that had everything that were, I want to say, topped out maybe a minute per frame. And those were like the extreme outliers. Generally, it's stuck between like 5 and 10 seconds per frame, if I remember. Because the scene where we circle around the outside, all of the exterior needed to be enabled and visible, and then the door opens and the interior needed to be visible. So that scene took longer. But then once I'm inside, I could turn off the outside stuff and it was fine. So yeah, it's all a balancing game of only having visible what you really want to be looking at. Yeah, we were using 2.8. We were not on 3.0 at that point. Application is already up, Peter. Let's see. Yeah, there should be links following. So Peter, if you need help to where the application is, I'll point you there. We lost textures. Yeah, textures, that was something that, so to dive into the project a little bit and the technical weeds, we used Google Drive, right, to sync our project files all together. And that worked fundamentally well enough. I talk about this in the article, but not everyone was willing to like sync the project directory. They just wanted to like upload files manually to Google Drive. And it ended up being kind of a hassle because it led to a lot of texture links being lost and then relost and relost. Okay, these mountains right here in the background, I have resourced those texture links no less than like 20 times and they're gone again. So we need to, as a team, I need to work out a more robust system. I think it's going to require that you sync Google Drive, not upload manually, because if we're all syncing together, then we should all be experiencing correct texture links or broken texture links rather than just some of us experiencing them. So there's some technical things that can use refinement. One of them was textures being lost like almost at a daily basis and relinked at a daily basis. Let's see. Yeah, moderators, I think I'm going to have to lean on you a little, almost entirely. Like I'll look for the blue names to see if you copy and paste questions, because there's not a lot to indicate questions quickly. Can you please show the robot design again? Yes, and I can maybe say a few words about the robot design. So I go over this again in the elevator pitch video. This is on the article on CG Cookie. It's been linked in the chat several times. But at the bottom where we talk about, essential information about Collab 2022, there's this 15-minute pitch video. I don't know why I couldn't do it in less than 15 minutes. We're close to being time to close this thing down. But in that pitch video, I go over why I picked this model. But to try and say it quickly, I knew for Collab 2022, sorry, let me take a quick drink of water. I knew for Collab 2022 that I wanted to kind of pare back the team and be a smaller, more refined team, and also kind of to make it not an easier collab, but just go back to where working with a big team and modeling, texturing, and even animation, like the more skill sets involved, the more convoluted everything and complex everything became. So I wanted to go back to focusing on just modeling. So I knew I wanted smaller team and just modeling, but I could not figure out what I wanted to make. And separated from this, in my free time, I had gotten into these model kits like Gunpla, I think is what it's called, like Gundam plastic model kits. And I put a couple together with my kids. And when I was putting one together one weekend, it just clicked with me that this would work perfectly for a modeling based collab, similar to the Backhoe project, similar in spirit, like a spiritual successor. I mean, I think not many people get excited about a backhoe, compared to like a robot. And so it's got that cool factor. But also, since you assemble the model kit, it comes with all these pieces individual, and we know exactly how it assembles. So like that piece of the project is really important to have explicit reference compared to Collab 2021 based on concept art. It's implicit reference. So there's a lot of translation that needs to be done and like kind of compromising on design gap filling, right? And so this provides explicit reference where there's very little question about exactly what these dimensions are, exactly what the shape is, exactly how it fits together. We had that with the Backhoe project as well. So it just clicked that this would fit that formula perfectly. And yeah, I pitched it to the team, and not everyone, was a fan, but most people were a fan of this approach. And so to kind of take it a step further, we're not just going to model this. We will also want to model like a hanger and some machinery that would kind of assemble instead of, again, like the Backhoe, it just sort of assembled itself from thin air, which I think worked great for that project. To do the same thing spiritually, but in a different way, we would do it more physically based and have like a machine, grab the exterior panel and like stick it onto the endoskeleton, like that kind of thing. So that's where this project came from. And then, when you're doing projects like this, you want to avoid copyrighted stuff generally. But this is made by Bandai, and but it's not Gundam officially. It's like seemingly they're like branched division that kind of explores more, I think, more unique designs. And so that's why I liked it. And also it being a smaller name, we don't have to put Gundam on the project. But of course, we're giving credit to Bandai. Like that's going to be featured in the credits. And, like the only thing that would happen is maybe people would buy this kit, so good for them. But for us, it serves this purpose really uniquely. And that's why we've gone with it. Let's see. Question about more outdated videos. Let me see. So if you could copy the whole question, that's going to be helpful. It's really hard for me to like go through and like see what you're talking about. So I know that's annoying. I'm just trying to make this as efficient as possible. Okay, the robot design again. Where was that? The chat kind of jumps around too. It's not like smooth. How much time? Okay, we have like a minute. I'm going to have to wrap it up. Some tutorials are quite outdated in CG Cookie. Are the team considering updating them? That's not really the topic I love to end on. That is a tough topic with updating courses and stuff. I should probably write an article. I guess I haven't written an article about that. It's a common, I think, expectation for tutorials like, hey, just update them. Like it's a simple thing to update. Re-recording courses is a massive undertaking. It's no different than just recording the course from scratch. And so, inevitably, when as instructors, we're a small team, right? Like we don't have an army of people that can just go and re-record a course. So what usually ends up happening is we will make a new course that features updated techniques to that an old course featured, right? This is such a big topic. It's going to be impossible for me to express all this. I should just write an article. I'm going to put that on my to-do list to write an article. Essentially, we are in support of updating courses when it's relevant. What we do not like to do is when people think Blender has updated more than it actually has. So like when 2.8 went to 3.0, there wasn't a big difference. I don't know if y'all noticed that after using it, but that kind of a change, very minor changes, like it's really hard to convince ourselves to remake that course when the content is virtually unchanged. We would model stuff exactly the same way. Best case, like a 1%, 5% difference in the workflow. So that's why, after years of doing this, we've re-recorded courses completely, and we have started to kind of focus that on our fundamentals, right? So if we go to cgcookie.com, let's see here. Any course that has like fundamental in it, right? Official playlist, first week in Blender. This is probably what it is. Nope. Step-by-step fundamentals. Okay, so these courses, fundamentals of 3D mesh modeling, fundamentals of digital sculpting, these are the courses. If there's fundamentals, it's like the base of the pyramid for all skills going forward. And those we do re-record every, it seems like every year or two. And we just re-recorded the Blender Basics, your first week with Blender 3 Basics, Intro to Blender. So we do re-record those. Kind of the more beginnery the course or the tutorial, that's more likely to get re-recorded. But I just released the human course, right? Where are we at? Which actually is a re-record if you think about it. I don't know. The first thing I ever recorded back almost 10 years ago was a realistic head tutorial. We rebooted that, and it's really not even a reboot. It's a completely different course, way more in depth. But this is 28 hours. I'm not just going to re-record this because 3.0 came out like a week after I released the course. I need to spend some good time with 3.0 to see, did anything really change the workflow significantly? In that case, it would deserve its own video of this. I know the subsurface has a new option, right? So that makes sense to troubleshoot that, to test it, and see if it makes a notable difference to the content of the course. So it's not an easy question to answer, basically. It's why you don't see a lot of people re-recording courses anywhere in the Blender space. It's virtually impossible that you will ever see any instructor have all Blender 3.0 courses. And then when 3.1 comes out, all 3.1. And this is true for Maya. This is true for anything. It's never gonna happen like that. So the better option, the thing to come to terms with is, how can I learn with old versions of Blender? Blender actually has a step up on the competition because we can download all old versions. So that's one strategy I offer, is if you're watching a 2.7 course, download 2.7, follow the course explicitly, and then you'll be much more able to translate that to 2.8 or 3.0 now, I forget where we are, without needing a course to hold your hand through that process. And if you're able to do that, your whole world of Blender education explodes, and you can watch YouTube videos from 5 years ago and get something out of it. You can watch CG Boost's video from 2 years ago and get something out of it. If you're not able to do that, if you're not able to learn from older content, then your Blender world, education world shrinks really small. So it's not this attitude of wanting to get out of updating, but we're always making new courses. And if we have to decide, make a new course, re-record an old one, it's very hard to convince ourselves to re-record an old one unless it's one of those fundamental courses. Anyway, I need to write a better article about that, because I think it's a big misunderstanding in the Blender space. But and I hope no one's screaming at me over this. But that's gonna have to be it for the stream. Let's see. Question, which one is the username as opposed to the actual name? I can't answer that, Peter. So if we come in here, where are we at? I need to find something with comments. Community questions and answers. Here we go. All right, so on CG Cookie, your real, like there's the display name. Good grief, that's a long thing. So your display name is usually the thing that's shown, right? So Yukino Hitaki is the display name, and Yukino 1989 in parentheses is the username. Now, why doesn't my name have one of those? I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why mine doesn't have that. That's bizarre. Oh, I'll bet I know, because with Maven Seed, the transition there, I don't actually have a CG Cookie username. I just have an admin account, which is different. So I think that's why I don't have something in parentheses. But all the other people, you know, the username is in parentheses, your display name. Essentially, why I need that information. I think you're asking about the application at the top. Where is it? What is your CG Cookie username? So I need the username for when I give like XP, right? If you follow the whole project, I give you 2,000 XP. I need your username to plug into our system, and that will give you your account specifically that information. So I need the username, and then the display name is what I will use for credits, right? And some people had display names, some people had usernames. If you're on CG Cookie, it's just too hard to try and go through everybody manually and ask what name do you want to use. This is my way of doing that. But if I don't get an answer, I just go to CG Cookie. And if you have a display name, I'll use that for the credits. If you don't, then I'll just use the username. So that's why I'm after that information. All right. That's going to be my last question, or my last answer to a question. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you celebrating the premiere of this project together, and hope you enjoyed it. I'm so looking forward to Collab 2022. You know, we will be posting, CG Cookie will be posting information about that as it becomes relevant and as we get closer to the start of the collab. Check that article for, CG Cookie articles. And right now, that's the best place for information. You can comment there with questions if you have them, and apply if you're interested. So thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure. The team who was with me to watch this, I hope it paid off. We've been talking about it for a while. It's a lot of fun knowing that you're here watching it as well live. So thank you, and have a great rest of your Tuesday. Goodbye.